I'm going to read chapter 15, The Discovery of the Terrible. Before reading this chapter, talk about chapter 14, and then after killing the witch of East, and then Dothan companies and comrades and went to the Emerald City, and so they met Oz, and Oz could give present them so their wishes. The brain for Scarecrow, the heart for Tin Woodman, and courage for Cole Ryan, and also both for getting back to Kansas. Okay, here you go. I'm going to read it.
The Discovery of Oz, the Terrible. The four travelers walked up to the great gate of Emerald City and rang the bell. After ringing several times, it was opened by the same guardian of the gates they had met before.
What? Are you back again? He asked in surprise. Do you not see Earth? Answered the Scarecrow.
Answered the Scarecrow. But I thought you had gone to visit the Wicked Witch of the West. We did visit her, said the Scarecrow. And she let you go again? Asked the man in wonder.
She couldn't help it, for she is melted, explained the Scarecrow. Melted? Well, that is good news, indeed, said the man.
Who melted her? It was Dorothy, said the lion gravely. Good gracious, exclaimed the man, and he bowed very low indeed before her.
Then he led them into his little room and locked the spectacles from the great box on all their eyes, just as he had done before. Afterward, they passed them through the gate in the Emerald City.
When the people heard from the guardian of the gates that Dorothy had melted the Wicked Witch of the West, they all gathered around the travelers and followed them in a great crowd to the Palace of Oz.
The soldier with the green waistcoat was still on guard before the door, but he let them in at once, and they were again met by beautiful green guards who showed each of them to their rooms at once.
The great wizard was ready to receive them.
The soldier had a news carried straight Oz. Dorothy and the other travelers had come back again after destroying the Wicked Witch, but Oz made no reply.
The wizard would send for them at once, but he did not. They had no word from him the next day, nor the next, nor the next.
The waiting was tiresome and weary, and at last they grew vexed that Oz should treat them in so cruel fashion after sending them to undergo the hardship and slavery.
Scarecrow at last asked the green girl to take another message to Oz, saying if he did not let them in to see him at once, they would call the winged monkeys to help them.
And found whether they kept his promise or not.
When the wizard was given this message, he was so frightened that he sent word for them to come to the throne room at 4 minutes after 9 o'clock the next morning.
He had once met the winged monkeys in the land of the West. He did not wish to meet them again.
The four travelers passed a sleepless night, each thinking of the gift Oz had promised to bestow on him.
Dorothy fell asleep once, and then she dreamed that she was in Kansas, where Aunt Helms was telling her how glad she was to have her little girl at her again.
Promptly at 9 o'clock the next morning, the green-whiskered soldier came to them, and 4 minutes later, they all went into the throne room of the great Oz.
Of course, each one of them expected to see the wizard in the tray he had taken before, and all were greatly surprised when they looked about. So, no one at all in the room.
They kept close to the door and closer to one another, for the stillness of the empty room was more dreadful than any of the forms they had seen Oz take.
Presently they heard a solemn voice that seemed to come from somewhere near the top of the great dome, and it said, "Amos, the great terrible, what do you think
me?" They looked again in every part of the room, and then, seeing no one, Dorothy asked, "Where are you?"
"I'm everywhere," answered the voice, "but to the eyes of the common mortal I am invisible. I will now sit myself upon my throne, that you may converse with me."
Indeed, the voice seemed just then to come straight from the throne itself, so they walked toward it and stood in a row while Dorothy said, "We have come to claim our promise, O Oz."
What promise? Asked Oz. You promised to send me back to Kansas when the wicked was destroyed, said the girl.
"And you promised to give me brains," said the Scarecrow. "And you promised to give me a heart," said the Tin Woodman.
And you promised to give me courage, said the cowardly lion. In the wicked witch you really destroyed? Yes, the voice, that Dorothy thought it trembled a little.
"Yes," she answered. "I melted her with a bucket of water." "Dear me," said the voice. "How sudden. Well, come to me tomorrow, for I must have time to think it over."
You had plenty of time already, said the Tin Woodman angrily. We shouldn't wait a day longer, said the Scarecrow.
Said the Scarecrow. "You must keep your promise to us," exclaimed Dorothy.
The lion thought it might be as well to frighten the wizard, so he gave a large loud roar, which was so fierce, dreadful, and just jumped away from him in alarm.
Screen that stood in the corner. As it fell with a crash, they looked that way, and the next moment all of them were filled with wonder.
For they saw, standing just the spot the screen had hidden, a little old man with a bald head and a wrinkled face, who seemed to be as much surprised as they were.
Woodman, raising his axe, rushed toward the little man and cried out, "Who are you?" "I am Oz, the great and terrible," said the little man in a trembling voice.
But don't strike me, please don't, and I will do anything you want to do. And our friends look at me in surprise and dismay.
"I thought Oz was a great head," said Dorothy. "And I thought Oz was a lovely lady," said the Scarecrow.
And I thought Oz was a terrible beast, said the Tin Man. And I thought Oz was a ball of fire, exclaimed the lion.
"No, you are all wrong," said the little man meekly. "I have been making believe." "Making believe?" cried Dorothy. "Are you not a great wizard?"
Hush, my dear, said. Don't speak so loud, and you will be overheard, and I should be ruined. I'm supposed to be a great wizard, and aren't you? She asked her.
She asked. "Not a bit of it, my dear. Just a common man." "You're more than that," said the Scarecrow in a grieved tone. "You're a humbug."
Exactly so, declared the little man, rubbing his hands together as if he praised him. I'm the humbug,
said the Tin Woodman. "How shall I ever get my heart?" "Or I my courage?" asked the lion.
"How are my friends?" wailed the Scarecrow, wiping tears from his eyes with his coat sleeve. "My dear friend," said, "I pray you not to speak of these little things."
"Me and the terrible trouble I am in at being found out. Doesn't anyone else know you're a humbug?" asked Dorothy.
"No one knows it but you four and myself," replied the Witch. "I fooled everyone so long that I thought I should never be found out."
"It was a great mistake my ever letting you into the throne room. Usually I will not see even my subjects, and so they believe I am something terrible."
"But I don't understand," said Dorothy in bewilderment. "How is it that you appear to me as a great head? That was one of my tricks," answered Dorothy.
"Step this way, please, and I will tell you all about it." He led the way to a small chamber in the rear of the throne room, and they all followed him.
He pointed to one corner in which he lay, the great head, made out of the many thickness of paper with a carefully painted face. "This I hung from the ceiling by a wire," said Oz.
"I stood behind the screen and pulled a thread to make the eyes move and the mouth open." "But how about the voice?" she inquired.
"Oh, I'm an ventriloquist," said the little man. "I can throw the sound of my voice wherever I wish, so that you thought it was coming to something."
He showed the Scarecrow the dress and the mask he had worn when he seemed to be the lovely lady.
And the Tin Woodman saw that his terrible beast was nothing but a lot of skins sewn together to let's keep their size out.
Fire. The false wizard had hung that also from the ceiling. It was really a ball of cotton, but when oil was poured upon it, the ball burned fiercely.
"Really," said the Scarecrow, "you ought to be ashamed of yourself for being such a humbug."
"I am. I certainly am," answered the little man sorrowfully. "But it was the only thing I could do. Sit down, please. There are plenty of chairs, and I will tell you my story."
So they sat down and listened to while he told the following case. "I was born in Omaha." "Why, that isn't very far from Kansas," cried
cried
Dorothy.
Dorothy. "No, but it's farther from here." he said, shaking his head at her sadly. When I grew up, I became a ventriloquist. And at that, I was very well trained by a great master.
I can imitate any kind of bird or beast to hear him mew so like the kittens and toddlers to prick up his ears and look everywhere.
Continued Oz. I tired of that and became a balloonist. What is that? Asked Dorothy.
A man who goes out in a balloon on circus day so as to draw a crowd of people together and get them to see the circus. It's friend. Oh, she said, I know.
One day, I went up in a balloon and the ropes got twisted so that I couldn't come down again.
I went way up above the crowds of her that the colonel's airstrike. It carried many miles away.
I traveled through the air, and on the morning of the second day I awoke and found the balloon floating over a strange and beautiful country.
It came down gradually, and I was not hurt a bit, but I found myself in the midst of strange people who seemed to come from the clouds, thought I was a great wizard.
Of course, I let them think so, because they were afraid of me and promised to do anything I wished them to do.
Just to amuse myself and keep the good people busy, I ordered them to build this city and my palace, and they did it all willingly and well.
As the country was so green and beautiful, I would call it the Emerald City. And to make the name fit her better, I put green spectacles on all the people so that everything they saw was green.
But isn't everything here green? Asked Dorothy.
No more than in any other city, replied Oz. But when you wear green spectacles, why, of course, everything you see looks green to you.
The Emerald City was built great many years ago while I was a young man when the balloon brought me here, as I am very old man.
People have worn green glasses on their eyes so long that most of them think it really is an Emerald City. And it certainly is a beautiful place, abounding in jewels and precious metals and every good thing.
As needed to make one, I think.
I have been good to the people, and they like me. But ever since this palace was built, I have shut myself up and would not see any of them.
One of my greatest fears was the witches, for while I had no magical powers at all. I soon found out that witches were really able to wonderful things.
There were 4 of them in this country, and they ruled the people who lived in the north and south and east and west. Fortunately,
the witches of north and the south were good. I knew they would do me no harms, but the witches of east and west were terribly wicked. Had they not thought I was more popular,
they would surely have destroyed me.
As it was, I lived in deadly fear of them for many years, so you can imagine how pleased I was when I heard your house had fallen. The wicked witch is.
I was willing to promise you anything if you would only do away with the other witch, but now that you have melted her, I'm ashamed to say that I cannot keep my promises.
I think you are a very bad man, said Dorothy. Oh, no, my dears, I'm really a very good man, but I'm a very bad wizard, I must admit.
I must admit. Can't you give me brains? Asked the Scarecrow. You don't need them. You are learning something every day.
A baby has brains, but it doesn't know much. Experience is the only thing that brings knowledge, and the longer you are on us, the more experience you are sure to get.
That may all be true, said the Scarecrow, but I shall be very unhappy unless you give me brains. The false wizard looked at him carefully.
Well, he said with a sigh, I'm not much for medicine, as I said, but if you will come to tomorrow's morning, I will strap your head with brains.
Brains. I cannot tell you how to use them, however. You must find that out for yourself. Oh, thank you, cried the Scarecrow. I'll find a way to use them, never fear.
But how about my courage? Asked the lions anxiously. You have plenty of courage, I'm sure. Answered Oz. I only need this confidence in you.
No living thing that is not afraid when it faces danger. The true courage is in facing danger when you are afraid, and that kind of courage you have in plenty.
Perhaps I have, but I am scared just the same, said the lion. I shall always be very unhappy unless you give me the sort of courage makes one forgettable.
We'll give you that sort of courage tomorrow, replied Oz. How about my heart? Asked the Tin Woodman.
Why for that? Answered Oz. I think you were wrong to want a heart. It makes most people unhappy. If you only knew it, you were in luck not to have a heart.
To have a heart. That must be a matter of opinion, said the Tin Woodman. For my part, I will bear all the unhappiness without a murmur, if you will give me the heart.
Very well, answered Oz meekly. Come to me tomorrow, and you shall have a heart.
Played wizard for so many years that I may as well continue the part a little longer. And now, said Dorothy, how am I to get back to Kansas?
We shall have to think about that, replied the little man. Give me 2 or 3 days to consider this matter as I try to find a way to carry you over the desert.
You shall all be treated as my guests, and while you live in the palace, my people will wait upon you and obey your slightest wish.
There is only one thing I ask in return for my help, such as it is. You must keep my secret and tell no one I am on board.
They agreed to say nothing of what they had learned, and went back to their rooms in high spirits.
Even though she had hoped that the great and terrible humbug that she called him would find a way to send her back to Kansas, and if he did, she was willing to forgive him everything.
Of chapter 15.
The end. Alright, done. So, first trial was paid, but this one